He is 104 years old, from Hunza Valley, and he still walks, talks, and smiles with peace. Today, he reveals the secret behind his long life.
You are strong. You've lived through a literal century of history wars, tech revolutions, pandemics, personal loss, and yet here you are, articulate and smiling.
It's the scenario we all hope for, right? But usually when we think about that, our first question is, so what did he eat?
Exactly. Was it the yogurt, the mountain water?
Yeah, we want the life hack, the quick fix.
You want the tactical stuff? But today, for this deep dive, we're doing something a little different. We're not looking at a scientific study on telomeres.
And we're not breaking down the nutritional density of dried apricots.
No, we're unpacking a transcript from this fascinating, really raw interview with a 104-year-old man from the Hunza region.
And for anyone who hasn't gone down this particular rabbit hole, the Hunza Valley in Pakistan is, well, it's often mythologized. It's this Shangri-La of longevity.
Right, people live famously long, active lives there.
But the analysis usually stops at the environment. You know, the altitude, the clean air. Today, we're stripping that away. We're focusing strictly on the software, not the hardware.
The software, I love that. Because this transcript, it's from a video called 104 Years Old, Still Strong, Hunza Man Reveals His Secret. And it's so unfiltered. It's just an old man talking. But honestly, the words he chooses and the words he doesn't choose, it paints a picture of a psychological framework that's just wildly different from how most of us operate today.
It really is. The mission here really is to decode his vocabulary. Because when you actually listen to what he says, he's not giving you a workout routine.
No.
He's giving you a spiritual and mental model for endurance. He talks about concepts like fikir, intihan, and Kedamad. And once you get what those words mean to him, you start to see how someone makes it to a century with a smile.
It starts right away, right out of the gate, with his reaction to just being alive. The interviewer is clearly impressed, he says, mashallah.
Expression of awe, of appreciation.
And the man's response isn't, yeah, I have great genetics, or I worked really hard for this.
No, not at all. And this is really the first theme we need to look at, this foundation of gratitude and dependence. Throughout the transcript, he keeps using phrases like Alhamdulillah, which means all praise to God. But he also uses this one specific phrase, Parwardigar ki meharbani.
Parwardigar ki meharbani. Okay, let's unpack that. What's he really saying there? The literal translation can sometimes feel a bit flat.
It's a very specific phrasing. Parwardigar translates to the sustainer, or the nourisher.
Okay.
And meharbani means kindness, or grace. So right from the start, his whole worldview is framed by this idea. I am here because of the kindness of the sustainer. He's not claiming credit. He's not saying, I lived this long because I was disciplined. He's saying, I am being sustained.
Wow, that is a huge shift from the hustle culture we're used to, right? Where we're told we are the captains of our own destiny.
And if you fail, it's on you. If you succeed, it's because you crushed it.
He seems to have completely surrendered that burden.
Precisely. And that surrender is psychologically protective. Think about the whole self-made man archetype. It's empowering, sure, but it's also exhausting. If you are solely responsible for your own existence, then every illness, every setback, every wrinkle is a personal failure, a sign you didn't optimize enough.
It just creates this baseline of anxiety. You're constantly holding up the sky like Atlas.
Exactly. But this man, he puts the sky down. By attributing his longevity to Meharbani, to grace from a higher power, it removes a massive weight. He operates from a place of humility. You can hear it in his tone. He attributes his life not to his own careful planning, but to that sustaining force.
It's so interesting because we usually think of surrender or dependence as a weakness. But for him, it seems to be the source of his strength.
That's the paradox.
It's like he's saying, I'm not the CEO of the universe, I'm just an employee. And that lets him relax.
That's it. When you acknowledge you aren't in total control, you stop fighting reality. You stop wasting energy trying to be God. He's 104. He's seen everything change. But his anchor isn't his own ego. It's that reliance on the Parwardigar.
And that lack of ego-driven friction, I think it leads us directly into the most mind-blowing part of this whole thing, the way he talks about stress. Or rather, the way he refuses to talk about stress.
This is the absolute core of his mental model. It's our second theme.
Yeah.
The conflict between fikr and intihan.
Okay, define these for us. Because he explicitly mentions fikr as something to avoid. What does that word really mean here?
Fikr is a heavy word. In this context, it translates to worry, anxiety, that deep concern. It's that gnawing feeling of what if? The mental spinning we do when we're trying to control the uncontrollable. In the transcript, he basically treats fikr as a poison.
So it's rumination. It's the 3.0 a.m. panic about the future.
Exactly. But here is the nuance. He's not saying life is easy. He uses the word taklif, which means pain or trouble.
He admits life has mushkil wat, difficult times.
He's not spiritually bypassing the hardship. He knows life is hard.
He knows it better than any of us. He's lived in a rugged mountain region for a century. He's seen harsh winters, shortages, loss.
Right. But his advice is effectively to reject fikr, the worry, and instead embrace the difficulty as an imtihan, a test.
That is such a subtle but, wow, a powerful reframe. If I'm stuck in traffic or I lose my job, my default is fikr. I worry, I panic.
Future cast.
But he's saying, no, this is an imtihan. This is a test.
And just think about what that does to your sense of agency. If you're worrying, if you're in a state of fikr, you're passive, you're a victim, the anxiety is happening to
We're
you.
hunched over, defensive.
But if you're taking a test, an imtihan, you're active. You're the student.
You have to sit up straight to take a test.
Exactly. The question shifts from why is this happening to me to, okay, how do I pass this? The difficulty isn't some random tragedy. It's a question on an exam paper. It has a purpose, and more importantly, it has a solution.
It turns the obstacle into a challenge.
And he explicitly links this to his longevity. He suggests that if you engage in fikr, if you let worry consume you, you deplete the very energy you need to live. But if you view it as a test from the Parwardigar, the sustainer, you can endure mushkil wat without breaking.
It's resource management. Sacrifice just sounds painful.
I think that's a beautiful way to put it. That is the algorithm. And notice, health or diet isn't explicitly in that psychological equation. Obviously, the Hunza lifestyle involves good food and movement, but his conscious focus, the things he says out loud, are all about the state of his heart and mind.
He doesn't say, I ate apricots. He says, I avoided worry.
And that distinction is vital. We spend so much time optimizing the hardware, our bodies, that we neglect the software, our minds.
Life is a test, then how are we supposed to act? It completely changes our strategy for everything. So what's the right mindset to have? And the answer is found right here in faith. But this isn't just about believing in something you can't see. It's about a daily active practice that gives you the strength to get through life's tests. And it shapes everything, your actions, your thoughts, even what you choose to eat. Okay, and here's the first big piece of the puzzle, and it might seem a little backwards at first. The foundational response isn't just to be tough or patient, it's gratitude. Being thankful, not in spite of the hard times, but right in the middle of them. Thankful for everything from your biggest blessings to the simple plate of spinach and buckwheat pancakes that gives you strength for the day. There's actually a word for this, shukr. And it's so much deeper than just saying thank you. It's this constant state of acknowledging kindness and blessings, of trusting that even the tough stuff, the difficult moments, are all part of a bigger, purposeful plan. It's a state of being that finds peace and grace in a simple life. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? The gratitude isn't based on what's happening to you. It's a constant. It's rooted in the belief that kindness is always there, whether you're having a great day or a really, really tough one. So being grateful, it's not just a feeling, it's a discipline. It's a must. But, gratitude can't just be an idea you hold in your head. It has to show up in what you do. And that brings us to the most active and probably the most challenging part of this whole philosophy, service and sacrifice. Just think about that for a second. When things are really hard, when that test of life is at its most difficult, what's the one action that shows faith more than anything else? It's not just about gritting your teeth and getting through it. It's about giving something of yourself. One single word, sacrifice. For this man, this was not an abstract concept. It was his heroic service as a young man. That right there is the ultimate expression of faith in action. And the difference this one word makes is just, it's night and day. Without sacrifice, a hardship is just a loss. It feels empty. It can lead you to despair. But the moment you frame that same exact difficulty as a sacrifice for something bigger, like caring for your parents, it suddenly has meaning. It becomes a source of purpose, of real spiritual growth. The entire experience is transformed. So, after more than 100 years of living by this philosophy, what's the core message to pass on? How do you take all of this wisdom and boil it down into something you can actually use? And the beautiful thing is, it's not some long, complicated instruction manual. A whole century of lessons, all condensed down into just two fundamental pillars for living a life that truly matters. And here they are. First, embrace sacrifice. Don't run from the difficult things. See them as your chance to do something truly meaningful, especially when it comes to serving your parents. And second, practice worship and prayer. This is your anchor. This is the constant conversation that refuels your soul and keeps that perspective of gratitude, of shukr, alive and well. They're two sides of the same coin, really. One is an outward action, the other is an inward connection. This final thought just ties it all together perfectly. Is this beautiful reminder that this whole system, the tests, the gratitude, the sacrifices, it's all operating inside this huge ocean of mercy and grace. It's a very reassuring thought that while life is a test, it's a test given by a benevolent teacher.
And so we end by turning it all back to you. We've just walked through this powerful framework for a meaningful life, forged over 104 years. As you face your own trials, your own journey, which of these lessons really hit home for you? What's the one piece of wisdom you'll choose to carry forward from today?